Okay, today we are going to look at Ksante and see if he belongs in the S tier, which is where I initially placed him. And spoilers, he does. He does everything. He's kind of like a bunch of other champs globbed into one. His R is kind of like a better Lee Sin R. He's got a Q3 knockup that's a lot like a Talia engage. He's very similar to Renekton a lot, the way he's dashing all around the fights, and he's really good at taking 2v1s. And he's similar to Ornn as well. When you see that he's immune to CC during his W, reminds you a lot of the Ornn Unstoppable. And so he's got like a lot of the really strong parts of other champions' kits all mixed together. Very overloaded kit. He does everything, and we'll see in these clips all the different things that he can do. So let's jump in. Bin on Ksante, and we see why this champ is so popular in Pro. Incredibly safe laning. Here he's going to get ganked by Rumble and Kha'Zix. He's got to get back to his tower up here. So he charges up the Q3 to get the CC here. And then when Kha'Zix jumps in, channels the W. This reduces incoming damage by 30%. Plus, when you unleash it, you dash and stun whoever's at the edge. Then all out, mobility spell number 2, and then dash, mobility spell number 3, and that comes with a shield. Doesn't even need to use flash, not even close. This champ is so ridiculously safe in lane, the combination of tankiness and 3 mobility spells. That said, no matter how safe Ksante is, any champ, if you are too reckless, can get caught out. So here, uses his W to go in and stun, and then he uses his R to start the all-in. So not quite enough. So here we're going to see classic Ksante gameplay, which is that Ksante is one of the best decoys in the game. And so he's just this huge flashing billboard. Come chase me, look at me. We'll see that here. 4, 5, all going on the Ksante, peeling them off the Baron. And here, Ruler missteps, and he's going to get caught out because he doesn't stay with his team. So that's kind of the reward for him distracting these 4 members. And he's also going to do Ksante things to just R, and then flash, and then W out. Totally safe. So he pulled them off the Baron, and he decoyed everyone, and he allowed Knight to catch Ruler out, and he doesn't even die for it. He's totally safe and back with his team. Ksante's W has surprisingly long range, but it does eventually run out, and you can see that hitbox was so close, but he misses it. And then he thinks maybe he can hit the W. If his W hits the champion, then it stuns the champion. But we see that his W is also just the tiniest bit short on Kha'Zix, and so missing the Q3 and the W kind of ints there. So here we see some amazing Ksante gameplay. He's just going to flash in so he can scoop the champion back. Very reminiscent of like a Lee Sin insect. This is like a Ksante insect. And then he goes all out, kills him, and then charging up the W here in all out. W gives 60% damage reduction, which is a lot. And then what we see here is that his R is disabled. You see his Nintofos are back to vertical. That means he's turned off the all out so that he gets the tankiness back in the kit because he's already gotten the improved damage reduction off the W. And so now he has no reason to stay all out. He just wants the tankiness of his default form. And then the interesting thing about Ksante is he can't normally E over the wall if he's by himself, but he's allowed to E over the wall if he's going to an ally. And that's what he does here, gets the shield and has just enough health to get out. Beautiful Ksante play. Here we see another Ksante insect where he's just going to get behind and then scoop. But unlike a Lee Sin where you would just be kicking them into the wall and then they'd get stunned there and you'd have to fight here near the enemy team, the Ksante scoop can be even stronger because you scoop them over the wall to safety. Enemy team is totally blocked out and your team can come around and hit him. So much stronger in many cases than a Lee Sin ultimate. Okay, here we see a really good interaction, which is going to be important because Rumble might be in the meta this Worlds. So he charges the W, the Rumble starts the Flame Spitter on Ksante, but the W actually turns the flame spitter around so that it's facing away from Ksante. So that's a really weird interaction that I didn't even know happened, but it means that he can take up this Corki no problem and get the kill on the Rumble in time because he turned the flame spitter the other direction. Still, with a kit this overloaded, there can be some tricky bits in it, and one of the tricky bits is knowing exactly how close to the wall you have to be to ult over it. So here we see that Bin is trying to scoop Missing on the Leona here over this wall, but you see how Missing sees this coming and walks away from the wall. Now ksante tries to push her back to the wall, but because she walked away, he can only get her about halfway. And now when he tries to scoop her, he doesn't actually get over the wall. He's trapped there. And even though he flashes, gets caught on the way out. Okay, now we have Kingen on ksante. They're doing this 4v2 tower dive, and we just see some true ksante mechanic mastery. We're trying to kill Zeus, and instead of going for the R immediately, he goes for the W through to stun him, then dashes to the other side, so that when he Q3s, it scoops him back this direction. Then he uses the R to bring him up top. And it's possible that he was just planning to, not use the R at all, trying to save the R. He didn't need to use the R, but then he decided that he needed to use it. But just incredible that most people would just immediately R. Just here, most people would immediately R the Jax back towards the team, and Kingen's just like, no, I don't need it. I can just W through him, E to the other side, Q3 him back to my team. It's like insane ksante mechanics. The one thing that does happen to ksante players sometimes, including Kingen, is you'll get this kind of Yasuo syndrome where you think you can just because you can go in, you should, and that you can do everything. And so we'll see he's a little overambitious here. This is all good, Wing in, trying to get the pick on the Ashe, but once she flashes out, this is probably when you just need to turn your ultimate off and back up here to re-meet with your team, because what's going to happen is this entire team is backing up off the fight down here, and Kingen's just still going in, and he ends up in this 1v3 situation where he's still squishy because he's in the all-out, and his team is just backed up off the fight. At this point, Kingen is going down, but the team is actually out. Aiming is totally out, and Showmaker could get out if he went down. He ends up getting a little greedy and tries to get this Sivir, flashes in, and it pulls Ivern back up, and they end up all getting caught out, but they didn't need to do that. Okay, here's another absolutely incredible Kingen play. So here, he's trying to protect his team, gets in the way, tries to save the Nautilus, and here he gets the sense that he might be getting caught out, so he pops his Ghost. And he's continuing to play bodyguard, just staying in front of his whole team, even the Nautilus he's protecting, what a homie. And now he's like, okay, well, since I popped my Ghost, I'm going all in, boys. I'm not wasting this Ghost. And so he tries to hit the Alistar, but he misses, and he just keeps running all out to catch up on the Alistar. He keeps running, absolute madman, should not be doing this. Giant balls, and then dashes, Q3, hits 2, and then keeps going, E in, and then keeps attacking, and he dies for it, but his balls are so big that he inspires his entire team to also have massive balls. Nautilus flash are in, and now they're attacking, and they're staying offensive, and the Nautilus is like, let's keep going, gonna avenge my comrade Kingen, and they end up killing here. Tristana's now got giant balls. It's like the giant balls are contagious, all because Kingen used that Ghost to get in and take that 1v5 that he absolutely should not have taken. And they end up actually winning the game off of all this. Like, what the heck? Kingen. Mad lad. And just think, like, what champ can pull off this chase down? What champ can pop the Ghost and run in and do this and use this ranged Q3 to start the engage? Like, what other top champ can do this? Okay, this is the game right after, and we can see that Kingen might be still a little bit high off of that previous play he made. So we see that there's 2 coming in, and there's the Maokai is going to be a 3-man dive on this Rumble. So he flashes in, misses the Q3, then does the all out, getting the damage down, and then he E's out, and you see he's turning back. If he had just E'd out and kept running, everything would have been fine, right? There's 2 other people here. There's a Corki here, but there's also a Maokai up here. Just let them do it, but I think he's still a little high off of his play last game, so he actually comes back in, wastes time here under tower, trying to get another Q off, and by then, when he dashes out, You can see he's so close to being out of the tower range, but not quite. And now we see that, you know, he didn't need that extra Q. They would have been able to dive the Rumble just fine. So that's not a ksante problem, right? That's a Kingen problem, playing a little bit overconfident. Here we see a fun play where Blitzcrank goes for the hook on Rumble, and at the same time, ksante flash Qs in. So they probably both would have hit, but he just kind of got double CC'd by the same way. And then really nice that once the Rumble's behind you, you just scoop him back. Again, just like a Lee Sin R. Lots of CC out of this champ. CC damage, mobility, 4700 HP, LOL, ksante has everything, copy pasta. And this shows that why CC is so powerful in pro play, because it chains really well with other CC. And so ksante goes really well with these engaged supports that are really popular in the meta right now, Leona, Nautilus, Blitzcrank. We have a great Kingen play here where he's getting ganked by the Lilia and the Gwen on the top lane. And this is kind of what you think of when you think ksante. R's over the wall and into his allies. When you get ults like that, he just looks like the most broken champ ever. And you can see, look at the scooping effect of it. Well, first of all, look at the hitbox, and then look at how much it scoops. So this is the W coming off, and the Gwen is trying to run away from the wall. She's like, please don't take me over the wall. And it what was that? How it curves her down towards the wall, the scooping, and then it stuns her up long enough for you to walk right behind, change your angle, and scoop right over the wall. So broken. Here we see another phenomenal Kingen play. So Q1 on the minion, charge it up. Q2, you see it actually charges, even though it hits the invulnerable teleport minion, it still charges it up, so the Q3 is ready. Dash in, Q3, look at that nice range, knocking it back. And now we see one of the extra broken things in ksante's kit, because his kit didn't already have 2 million things. His W gives him CC immunity, so you can see the sleep is coming in here and here, but ksante doesn't sleep. Just W's right through it, gets the stun on Faker, and he's charging up Q again, Q2 here, and his Q3 is already back up to get it on the Gwen, Q1, Q2, so if he wanted to use another Q3, he'd have it ready again. These Q3s charge so fast, he doesn't need to, but okay. Here we have a Gen G game with Kiin on ksante teleporting in, and we see that he does okay. He kind of gets surrounded by all four, and then he has this nice W, the Mordekaiser, into R. Really nice CC on the Mordekaiser. But then he just kind of dies. So he doesn't do that much. Theoretically, you could imagine maybe certain other top laners would be better in this type of situation where you're teleporting into 4. Like maybe a Rumble Equalizer would be really good here. A Kennen would be really good here. Maybe something like a Zac or an Ornn with one of those really big engage ults would be a little better here. So it's not that the ksante is bad, it's just that maybe in some of these 5v5 team fights, some of those dedicated team fighting top laners could be a little more useful. Here we have another Kiin game. He's blue on ksante this time, teleporting in, and we see kind of a similar thing where if you're in a real 5v5, full-blown 5v5 like this, a true team fight top laner might be more useful, like a Rumble or a Kennen, you can imagine would be so strong here. We see that when he teleports in, he gets a Q off, but he's kind of not able to get in. He gets a Q3 off here. He gets an ultimate off, but now he's kind of stuck. He's kind of like, he's hitting one person at a time, right? And he's causing some disruption. He's getting a little bit of damage down, but he's just not a true team fight top laner in the sense of having a huge team fight engage CC or a huge team fight damage TES 369 on the ksante here. We're going to see in a true full-blown 5v5 team fight, if they don't get scrappy, if they're just front to back, ksante really can't compete with a true dedicated team fight top laner like Kennen. So we'll see ksante is doing a good job bodyguarding, trying to keep everybody safe. You know, trying to buy space for his team, use his health bar as a resource. And then all of this just blows up. I mean, Tristana kind of inted there because she R'd Kennen into the enemy team. So Kennen jumps in and Tristana's going to R him into her allies, which is not good. But you can see that even if she didn't do that, this Ksante's dead and this Tristana's dead, and you have a 4v5 with Tien and Micah low. So you're already winning this team fight, even if the Tristana doesn't in here. Here we have a classic Ksante fight where he's great at these 1v2s. Distracting two players means you keep a numbers advantage at the other part of the team fight. This is often when Ksante's at his best, when he's winning your team a numbers advantage during the fight. And oftentimes while he's taking these 2v1s, distracting them, he even gets the kill off Elk through Elk's flash. And so that's just so much value. Like, it doesn't look like much, but that's so much value when you think about it. I'm one Ksante, I kept two people out of the team fight, and I killed the AD carry through flash. Like, that's actually insane value if you actually do it all out, right? Here we're going to see a nice trade from Zika on Ksante onto this Kennen. So we have the E into W, W in, hits the stun, gets the Qs off, auto attack, R in, getting more Q damage off. Another dash, because all in resets your cooldowns, and then flash, auto, and then it's actually this Ivern shield explodes and gets the kill on Kennen. Here we see a beautiful team fight from Zika coming in, and we'll see that kind of instead of going for the center of the fight, he just stays on the periphery. He gets this Alistar, and we get a beautiful 2v1 here, where again he's distracting two people, saying, hey, you four take those three, I'll handle these two. And I think this is where Ksante is best than when he's trying to kind of front to back 5v5. And he's pulling the enemies back, and he's just so tanky. He eats the Kennen R like a champ, just absorbing everything. To have so much tankiness and so much mobility on the same champ is absurd with everything else that the champ has to offer. Okay, so here we see Zika's trying to maybe pull people off the Baron. He's going to get the scoop onto Corki. You see the W first to set them up, then the scoop, really common Ksante gameplay. Pulls into safety, and now the Corki W's out, and here again we see the Lily Asleep comes in, but Ksante doesn't have to worry about that because he'll charge the W, gives him CC immunity, and he's just out. He actually is a mad lad, so he tries to go in and finish off the 1v1, but his W is on cooldown, so I don't know exactly what his plan was. But you can see here he disables the ultimate again to get tankier, and you can see how tanky that makes him. It actually gives time for Gala to come in here and get the 1-for-1. Here we have a fun 1v1 between Breathe on Ksante and Zika on the Renekton. So they're just punching each other, trading, Q3 off, all out down, W reset, Q2, and then Q3 here to scoop the Renekton in, and then Breathe E's down exactly when Renekton is casting E down. And the way Renekton E works is that you only get the second dash if you hit someone with the first dash. And I don't think he hit them. I don't think he hit them, because otherwise I think he would try dashing out here. And he doesn't. So I think he just didn't hit the first E, so he didn't have it. But interestingly, if you go back right here, they're casting E at the same time. I don't think this is a Ksante reaction to the Renekton, which means that if the Renekton had just, instead of Eing down after this Q3, if right here he had just E'd to escape, he would have been fine. Here we see another example of how overpowered Ksante is. So here he's distracting four, he's got four people on him, and the problem is the Rel and the Maokai are both burning all their CC right now, which means now, once all their CC is burned, he's just free to jump on the Ezreal. And so he W's in, stuns, gets the Q, all out here. And all four of them are trying to stop him, but they don't have any CC left. And so even with all four trying to stop this kill from going through, Breathe gets it. Now, in the abstract, it's like, was that actually that good of a macro play because you're trading a Ksante for an Ezreal? They're both, you know, valuable carries in a fight. You're level 16, he's level 14. But still, just the sheer fact that, like, once you're in that situation, 4v1, that you can just force through the kill, even with all the four people trying to stop you, shows how strong the champion is. Here we're going to see a really similar problem to the other fight where you can't just blow all of your CC, Renekton CC, Rel CC, Maokai CC on this tanky Ksante, because then here, when he does all out, gets actually canceled by the stopwatch, but that puts his all out on it's immediately back up if it gets canceled from stopwatch. So after stopwatch, he just casts it again, both saving himself, getting him out of this situation, and pulling the Azir in. And now, because you used all your Renekton, Maokai, Rel CC before, now there's just nothing stopping him, and he can get the damage down and gets the flash out of Ezreal, just acting as a sponge, soaking up all that CC, and then saying, now I'm going to pull the trigger and scoop in the Azir. Here, another amazing breathe fight. We just have him fearlessly facing down 3 people, keeping them out of the pit. Just waiting for his teammate to kill the Baron. And then, when the time is right, W's the Azir, stuns him, and then scoops him over the wall. Spell does so much, takes you to safety, brings him to your allies. So strong anytime this champ is fighting in these, wall-laden jungle areas where he can scoop you. Here we've got perfect on Ksante, and we see just how difficult this champ is to dive. Especially here, you see you have pretty low damage champs. Skarner and Alistar both, CC bots, but not a lot of damage. So they blow all their CC on him and try to get the Ziggs damage off, but it's just not enough. He just tanks all of it up, W stuns, and then R to get out. And now he's so confident he doesn't even run away. He's like, I'll just stay here. And then if his W dodging Lilia R's was not enough, now you have his W dodging Skarner R's. Just completely ignores it. So broken. Skarner R and Lilia are 2 of the strongest in the game right now, and his W can just totally ignore both of them. So here, another amazing Ksante fight by Perfect this time. Perfect in red here goes in, W's up the Skarner. Q3 gets the flash out of the Skarner but catches him anyway. The Skarner drags everybody in, but Ksante's so tanky, he still has 50-60% HP, and then sees this Corki putting out the damage. Takes away all the Corki damage and distracts the Ziggs. You see the Ziggs is throwing stuff at the Ksante. So the Ksante is just being a total decoy, look at me doofus, distracting the carries from what's important. Gets the Q damage here, and then Q3 on the Corki, pulling him back in. Again, those Q3s charge so fast, you can get multiple rotations of them in a fight with Ksante. So there you have it. Ksante will be retaining his S tier spot on the tier list. He has safety, he's tanky, he has CC, he has mobility, he has CC immunity, he can do a decent amount of damage, he's great at 1v2s. I think you definitely can knock him that if it's a true front to back 5-5, there are probably better champs. Zac, Ornn, Gragas have these really strong team fight engages, and Kennen and Rumble have really strong AoE damage. But in the reality, those 5v5s get fragmented into small skirmishes so much that Ksanté can usually make something really good happen, getting a 1v2 or distracting a bunch of people. So he definitely has enough value during team fights that I don't think it disqualifies him from that S tier. The champion is also definitely one that scales a lot with skill because his kit does so many things and there's so many ways you can play him and there's so many ways you can sequence the abilities. Do you use W to engage and get the stun? Do you save it for when you really need it? I think this is a champ that really rewards skill, and so I don't think he's going anywhere in the meta anytime soon. One, because they're not willing to nerf him because of his solo queue performance, and two, because I think the better players get on this champ, just the champ gets better and better and better. I think it's a very high skill ceiling champ, and I think we'll probably see a lot of Ksanté this Worlds and in the future of League. That's that. World starts in 2 days, and I'll be breaking down all of the Worlds games that we see in play-in stages. So make sure you subscribe for those videos, and then make sure you subscribe for episode 3 in this deep dive series. And also let me know in the comments which champion you want to see next on this deep dive series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.